Hello, people. We are back for another episode of A2TP podcast, episode 111. 111, how you say
111.
111.
Yeah.
Spanish?
Very good. Ciento y once. But see, that's the difference. In Spanish, they do say and.
Okay.
It's weird. It's ciento, which is 100, ciento y once. So 111.
11.
Yeah.
And we back, episode 111. It's your boy International Walk.
And it's your girl Tosh, the co-host is with the mostest.
And we are back for another episode. You guys out there can catch us on A2TPodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Breaker, Anchor, TikTok, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. All those networks, all those platforms. Y'all can catch our faces there if you want to. Get right to it. How are you?
I am doing great today. I feel good. Had some business to handle. So I was up out and early this morning, like, you know, with the people of the working world and with traffic and all that, even though I wasn't out for work purposes, but it felt good. I don't miss having a commute to the office, but it's a different feeling when you get up and get to it and get outside.
Yeah, because you got to, it's anxiety. It's hustle and bustle.
Can I tell you one small thing that I was thinking? If I had to go into the office, a close office, once a week, I wouldn't be too upset anymore.
You should be. I would be upset.
What? You wouldn't be
so
there.
Long. I know, but we worried about you.
Oh, well, because you would think I'm gonna have anxiety or
she ain't drove in a while. She gonna call and say she had a fucking accident. She grown and she can live on her own and be on her own, but 7 times out of 10, she gonna get into some shit if she on her own. So the other 3 times, she good. But 7 times out of 10, some shit gonna happen where my phone will ring and it'll be like, you need to come to my aid.
Oh, well, I am feeling great. Mentally, I am, mentally, I'm a 10 today.
Wow.
Yeah, mentally, I'm a 10 today. I cannot think of anything at this very moment that would make me feel less than a 10.
So let's go 10.
Yep.
What's finances?
Finances a 10 always.
All right. What's work?
I'm gonna disappoint you because it ain't a 10.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say work is an 8.
It's 8. That's higher than it's usually been.
Yeah, because I'm taking a different mental approach to it. Physically, I'm a 9. I got it. My back was bothering me a little bit. My hand, had my elbow. But so I'm a 9, which is good. So I'm a 10, 10, 8, 9.
That's cool. 10, 10, 8, 9 is not bad. I know we had the sweep round a couple weeks ago. Not so good last week, but 10, 10,
but I want to be
9.
Honest though. We can celebrate those moments.
Yes.
Even bigger. How are you?
I'm great. Mentally, I feel sharper. I feel about a 9 mentally.
That's good.
I think, just kind of hoping that this be my last week home. Like I said, hoping, not putting all my eggs in one basket.
Oh, but that makes me feel good to hear you say that.
Hoping that, everything is okay and I could get back to my life. Not that this isn't my life.
I was about to say,
being, doing my thing, being out in the world, working.
Get back to your work
earning,
life.
Things like that. My work life, yeah. So, mentally, I am a 9. Work, what did I say?
You said you were a 9. That was mental.
Okay, finances, I am a 10. All good on finances. Work is a 10 because I ain't there, and but the show must go on. So that's a 10. I ain't there, and physically, I feel fucking excellent. I feel great. Don't nothing hurt. I feel light. Yeah, I feel good. Good all over. So
I feel good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 10 physically.
All over. Wow, so you was a 9, 10, 10, 10. That's still really good.
Yeah.
Really good. I'm proud of you.
Yep.
What's your wows and woes for this week? Can I kick that off?
Wows and woes is just my wow is it being time. Some go slow when you're counting it. And hopefully this is my last week being in the house. Go see my doctor. Hope that I get a clean bill of health.
Well, no. Your wow is supposed to be you can't wow the future.
Well, this is my last week. That's what I'm wowing.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully this is my last
Oh,
week.
okay.
How you gonna tell somebody what they wow is
Well,
in the moment?
But I was
like,
just
I'm gonna
saying,
do that to you and see if you could shift to a different wow.
Well, I was just saying you was like moving the goalposts.
No, I wasn't moving the goalposts.
Okay,
I initially started with what my wow was.
Okay.
Now, what was it?
I apologize. It was you, this hopefully being your last week in the house. Your doctor's appointment is coming up.
Yeah, so, that's my wow. My woe is, I don't have no woe.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't have a woe. How about you, wows and woes? Ups, downs? Stops, goes.
Stops, goes. My wow, I'm going to take a moment for myself. My wow has just been me noticing the growth in myself and taking charge of my well-being in a mental space, whether it's between you and I, whether it's me doing, self-care for myself. And I think self-care isn't just massages and, that sort of pampering stuff. It's really doing the things that make you feel good, whether it means speaking up about stuff, addressing issues, voicing your opinions, having those difficult or a conversation that you may perceive to be difficult but is necessary for growth, whether for yourself, your relationship, a family relationship, your professional relationship, whatever it is. Like, those things are self-care too, because it helps to improve and better you. So I feel like I had one of them, you know how you could be doing something for a moment and it may feel a little stagnant and then you break through to the next level a little bit then. So I kind of feel like I had a little breakthrough in terms of whether it comes from therapy or just using tools that we've been learning, but just self-care for me has been a wow for me this week.
Okay.
Yeah. And my woe, I haven't had a woe. We've been in a great place.
Am I your only woe? Why is that? Jesus Christ.
You didn't let me finish. I'm thinking of all the facets of my life. We've been in a great place. I've been in a great place. My family, for the most part, is physically healthy and safe. I know the world is crazy, but hell, we can have a woe every second of the day if we focus on that. So, I know there's been some horrible stuff happening in the world, but overall, I'm going to just take it in stride and I'm in a good place. I don't have a woe. So,
okay.
I'm woe free.
Okay. You tickle yourself when you make it funny, huh?
You were woe free too.
Over the past, beginning of the week, we had Officer Christopher Fitzgerald shot and killed Sunday into Monday. Survived by his mother, his father, his wife, and 4 kids.
He looked pretty young. I didn't know he
Yeah, he was killed in the 1700 block of Montgomery Avenue on Bevere Street. Started in law enforcement when he was 19. He was 31 when he was murdered.
Wow. So a young guy.
By a young fucking 18-year-old kid named Miles Pfeffer. It took the police 12 hours to make this arrest. The kid tried to rob him. This is how I see how it went down. Like, the kid tried to rob him and shot him in his head and then ran through his pockets and tried to take his gun. Was he on duty when this happened? Wow. Showed up by himself.
Who tries to rob a police officer?
Yeah. He this is after the fact. He wrote up on a robbery that was in progress. That's why the cop was initially called out.
So the guy wasn't trying to rob the cop.
No, he didn't try to rob him until he was dead. He ran through his pockets and tried to take his gun.
I misunderstood the details.
You mean like he was just?
I thought you said he tried to rob him.
No,
he tried to rob him after he killed him.
Christopher Fitzgerald
I was about to say
was on duty and called to the scene of
a different crime, of robbery,
where this kid was robbing somebody. Got into a shootout, was shot in the head. Where the kid stood over him and shot him in the head, and then ran through his pockets and all that kind of stuff.
Jesus.
18 years old, from Bucks County, locked up with no bail for murder and murder of law enforcement. Just your thoughts on that.
I didn't know there was 2 separate charges. Like murder of law enforcement. I mean, of course I know how they handle it, but I didn't know that like
they handle
murder
it because it's a separate law. So when you kill cops, you don't come home.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Or any person in law enforcement.
I didn't know that like murder of law, like on your record, murder of law enforcement is listed differently than murder.
Yes.
Wow. That's yeah. So my thoughts on it. It goes to show, as much as we talk. First of all, it's condolences to his family. I know a few years ago, like it seemed to have been an uptick in police murder or police shootings. Some may not all have died, but police shootings. And I hope that police, just like we want everybody else, I know we talk about the blue line and all of that, but there's still people. There's still husbands, fathers, sons who we, have to make it home. I hope that they don't let their guard. I'm sure in that profession, they never fully let their guard down, but because the instances like these have seemed to have diminished some, I hope they don't let their guard down. What was like, ironic to me, but not so much because this is America, and seeing them peacefully retrieve him from his Bucks County home, with no marks on his face, hair wasn't disheveled. I'm not saying, and see, this is where I think people get confused when we say, oh, they treat white people like this, but they treat black people like this. It's not to say he should be treated in a negative way or beat down or come out with a busted lip, but we should all be treated in that way when there's nobody should, be beat to death. Or I don't want to use that term. So what's the point
in just playing devil's advocate? Is that your thought, or are you just giving me the consensus of the people? Or is that what you think?
That's my thought, is that that color line is so evident when there's a black person that's committed a crime versus a white person. And that's not to say, oh, y'all should have beat him down. It's like, why can't we be extended the same grace when, something happens? But nevertheless, because we know doors would have been kicked in, like there would have been chaos wherever it was.
There would have been a different kind of rage, but
in the process,
if they would have known it was a black kid who did this.
In the process of retrieving him from his home. I seen there were like cops looked like they had SWAT gear and things like that.
After he carjacked somebody to get home, like carjacked a woman, which they have on audio, him telling the woman, get out of the car, I'm gonna kill you, took her car so he can get to 30th and Sedgley.
And then his mom pick him up?
Yeah, where he was taken to Bucks County by his mom, and she hit him, which any mother would do. So I'm not tripping about that, and people shouldn't trip about that. Like, there's a narrative out there, but if you talk about it, like, if you did some shit and, you would think your mom would be on your side. I mean, we've seen it over and over again. Not necessarily you, but we've seen it over and over again where the mom is we just saw a joke about this, where the mom is in court with the Bible saying, not my son, not my daughter.
I get it.
That's what mom's supposed to do. So in that situation, you can't be mad at his mom for hiding him. That's her son.
But see, I think we have to have a bigger conversation about that, because when we talk about, these guys in the hood that shoot them up, bang, bang, doing all this stuff, and ain't nobody turning them in, do we not want the parents to be more vigilant and not allowing their children to get away with the foolishness? Like, do we want that to be, I know it happens, but when do we want to change the narrative where the parents aren't hiding, the parents are setting the precedent, like, that ain't going down. You shot who? You did what?
But
get your ass in the car. I'm taking you to the police station.
Obviously, if the kid has shot somebody, he's the one who has to break the generational curse, not the parent. The parent still has it in place. So why would the parent all of a sudden speak up when the kid, her birth, is shot somebody? So obviously he's following some wrong path. So now all of a sudden the mom is going to be like, oh, you killed somebody, I'm taking you to jail?
Well, no, I was kind of like gearing in the direction of the crime and the senseless gun violence that we see in our black communities, where you have these parents who, your child is out 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You ain't checking bedrooms. You ain't flipping mattresses. You see him coming home with sneakers on that cost more than money that you're giving to him. So it's like, when do we have that conversation of, parents, you should be the one, not so much turning your children in, but setting a precedent where they know not to play with you like that, so that that may help to deter some of their actions. If they know, my mom ain't gonna hide me. If I shoot somebody, she ain't going call her boyfriend to get rid of the gun. If I rob somebody, she gonna question me about where you get this money from. So I know
what's that tell you though? Even if he's from a affluent home, an affluent family, I think his father was a urologist or something like that. So he come from an affluent lifestyle, and his parents aren't like hood parents; they're affluent people, and they still think like that to protect their young.
I think
so
that's
all
nurturing.
I'm saying, that's any parent. It could be a parent on Bevere Street. It could be a parent in Bucks County. They're all going to want to protect until they get some facts and find out what happened. We see cases where pedophiles are protected. So it's a thing that you have where it's like, I want to protect my kid, but it's just a shame that, he's survived by his mom, his dad, his wife, and 4 kids. I think he had 4 daughters. Like, that's a shame to, like, be from a different society. You don't belong down here in this neighborhood. And you down here, like, perpetuating the violence, the robberies and all that stuff. And you kill a cop. Like, a Temple cop or not, you kill a cop. Like, you took somebody's life. And I think that's, like, 1,000% wrong. But there is a clear-cut line between a black boy and a white boy who kill a cop.
Oh, hell yeah.
I've seen about 3 or 4 times where some people have killed cops in my lifetime, and they always got beat the fuck up. Like, it was almost like a mandatory thing.
That the cops do
like,
when
we get you down here, we're going to fuck you up. And your mugshot will even be all jacked up.
Exactly. And they'll try to say, oh, they resisted. Actually, they don't speak to it, but it's kind of implied that that's what happened. They resisted. He had to be, they had to get a little aggressive, or the dog bit him, where y'all probably sicked the dog on him, or we had to slam him on the car because he was aggressive, where y'all probably punched him in the face. So, like you said, we've always seen those mugshots.
Do you think it would have been different if he was a Philadelphia cop and not a Temple cop? Do you think the show of force to get him would have been much larger because it's coming from, like, not that the Philadelphia cops wasn't there when they apprehended him, because they was, them, the marshals, the state police, all that. But, like, it's a shame to say, but there's a distinction between a Temple cop in Philadelphia and a Philadelphia cop.
I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think, like, I know just like a Temple cop, a SEPTA cop.
Right. I don't think they get departmental funerals when they die. So that's what I'm saying. It's another level. I'm not saying that they're not law enforcement, and I'm not saying it's not tragic that their life was lost. It's a tragic thing, and that kid should go to jail and forever. He should get the death penalty. But all I'm saying is there's a distinction in that type of law enforcement if you're a Temple cop, a SEPTA cop, compared to a Philadelphia cop.
I would like to think that didn't play a difference. I was thinking what played a difference was the demographic and geographical location, the demographic of the assailant and the geographical location
of where he resides.
Yeah. Opposed to if it was the same situation with somebody who lived at 60th and Vine. I think the force would have been different just because of that, rather than who his law enforcement credentials were through.
But do they have an FOP?
Fraternity order. Well,
but they don't have a union or anything. I think that's just a state job. I mean, actually, I think it's a Temple
that's private. Job. So I'm a little ignorant in that field, because I thought, and I'm obviously wrong because I didn't know.
I would want to know if they had to go through the academy.
That's what I thought. I'm pretty sure, and I read this somewhere, but I could be wrong. I'm almost certain that SEPTA police do go through the academy.
The police academy?
Yeah, and then they're like award, like you can apply for like I think you have to be an officer and then you can apply for a SEPTA police job. Like you have to be a police officer to then get the SEPTA police job. I think that's how that works. I don't know.
Okay.
I want to say I'm 99% sure that's how that works.
And I know you have to pass a training course of 12 weeks, and it's 36 credits to pass for whatever work they give you.
Yeah, I'm not certain with because you think you have Temple police officers, you like just thinking about the major universities. Temple police officers, you have University of Penn police officers, you have Drexel police officers. And these are police officers, like not security guards. So but again, I don't know the
but
specific.
Who are they governed by? The Philadelphia Police, the Sheriff Department? Like what entity? Because you can't just say like you're Temple. How can you hire and train police officers and give them guns? These officers have guns.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're like governed by the police department but subcontracted to Temple. I don't know. I really don't know the qualifications and what the requirements are to join the I don't think you can like apply for a Temple police officer job. Like I would think that you have to have the credentials of being a police officer, and then like maybe once you finish the academy.
Because he started that job when he was 19 years old.
That's why I said once you finish the academy, then you have the opportunity to apply. Okay,
because I'm about to say at that age you don't have no background in law enforcement.
Yeah, no, it might be as soon as you finish the academy, but I don't know. I'm gonna find out though because I'm curious. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look into that and find out. But that's a horrible situation to think that. I mean, nobody ever knows, unless you have some terminal illness. Just being on your job, knowing that it's a dangerous job, knowing that the likelihood of you being killed is there just simply because of your profession. But it's like, damn, you think like in that scenario, in that situation, what I'm curious to see, there was such an outcry from the I'm just going to say from
Black community on about the
I was actually going to say the non-Black community when violence was happening in the Temple neighborhood, because it's almost like they didn't know, and they probably didn't, that you're sending your children to an awesome school in the heart of the hood.
Yeah.
And when violence was happening to the students, the outcry that was there was crazy. And unfortunately, the violence that was happening was from African American youths, or maybe not only youths,
and you
but
see how
African Americans in the city.
Like it can be at Temple, it can be at University of Penn,
St. Joe's University. I know someone
got raped down there. Like just remember, it was a rapist walking around. It seemed like that kind of stuff happened down there more. The murders and robberies happen up towards the Temple area.
And the crazy thing is, it's because if you're looking for who is the prime candidate to be a victim, or the prime victim, then you think to yourself, the people who aren't familiar with the area, who are gullible, who are naive, who have a false sense of security, who
are and that's the college kids.
Yeah, the college kids, like they're not from the neighborhood.
Kid from Dallas who came to Philadelphia, so I want to go to Temple, and you don't know shit about Philadelphia.
A little while ago, they had in Temple off-campus housing, which we know is in the hood. The side streets, 17th and Jefferson, all that. Like, I think about 20 years ago, who was living at who wanted to opt to live at 17th and Jefferson?
Where was the
it was
the off-campus housing 20 years ago, when it wasn't on Bevere Street and them small streets down there?
It has always been in those areas in small doses, but I think it is expanding now. I think that's what it is. But a little while ago, they had broken the house and had the kids like all tied up, which I'm sure they probably just walked in. You think about, again, college kids, they just want their friends to be able to come and go. Nobody's having any real security because it's that false sense of, oh, we're good, we're here, I know our neighbors, my homie lives upstairs.
It's college.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to happen if you're at college. And they get sense that because this is Temple housing, it's like a campus. The field is right there on the corner. The houses are right here, this whole block. So it can give you a sense of I'm on Temple campus. When we know that the people who grew up in Philadelphia, Temple don't have no campus. It's the city.
I mean, well, they have a campus, but their campus is in the hood, and then outside of their campus is still the hood. Like, unless you're in a dorm where like there's a secure, but then once you get to a certain age, well, you know, people don't want to stay in dorms. They want that, or even if you not even necessarily a certain age, you might be doing your post grad or something like that. You definitely don't want to stay in dorms, but it's not worth it.
No,
it's not worth
crazy.
it.
I don't know what other countries where they say they don't have police. And I know you said my thing was hitting the table. I'm gonna try to stop that. But where they don't have police and crime is low, and it's like, what? Like when you really think about it, what cop really? Like, did you ever want to be a cop? And what cop do you think really wants to put their life on the line to stop something? Well, like when you have a family and children, and I think that's the number one thing. When you get a spouse or a child, like you living for them. And I don't give a shit who you are. Like, I don't know. Like you shouldn't ask people to put their life on the line in situations like that where some careless shit like that can happen to a man like that.
Well, I think it's one of them things where
it's not worth it. It really isn't. And I don't give a shit how much he loved law enforcement. It's not worth his life to die like that for some stupid frivolous shit that some 18-year-old kid did when you've been trying to do the right thing since you was 19 years old, get into a profession, and they ask you to put your life on the line when you pull up to these scenes, and look what happens. And at the end, when the person dies, when you look at it, it's never worth it.
It's one of the things you think, like, that's why it's volunteer. Like, I mean, it's a job, you're paid, but you volunteer, and somebody it's like the military. I think of the same way about the military. So when you ask it made me think, did I ever think about being law enforcement? I never thought about being a cop. For a split second, I thought about being a CEO, and it was more so for the financial aspect, thinking like, you know, there was that whole CEOs make good money, and I'm talking about 22 years ago, before us, of course, thinking, okay, if I could be a CEO, make good money. But that went out my head real fast because just the potential, I'm not even thinking potential being killed, of course, the potential disrespect, being spit on, or any of that negative stuff that can happen.
But just imagine going to a job for 8 hours, I'm going to be lusted after, called a bitch, spit at, thrown, like that's my job.
Lusted after, called names, all that, but spit at, thrown piss at, potentially somebody hitting me or gripping me or anybody, like that stopped me. The military, for a split second, I thought about joining the Air Force. My weight was a factor, so it was like I thought about it, but then when I was kind of reading the qualifications, it let me know like I ain't gonna qualify.
You're like, I'm smart enough, but I ain't light enough.
Right? yeah. That's exactly what it was. Like I could, but then it was also a means of it was trying to find my way in life. I really didn't have no interest of being in the military, right. And I thought like, what's the best course of action? What's the safest? Like I don't gotta be in the field to get away from what my situation was at the time. To
people that
start
went in
a life
didn't
for
have
me.
To fight.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I never had the desire to like, oh, I want to fight for the people, or I want to like be an officer to save people. That was never something that was like in a list of 10 jobs. Like, but that wasn't in there.
In the military, there's not like war all the time. So it's not like I'm signing up to do something that can get me killed, because if it ain't no war going on, it ain't no war going on. And if I'm going to be an engineer or a MP, like like that kind of thing, you're going to be watching some base or like guarding something.
But that can still get blown up.
I know, but I'm just saying, lots of time it doesn't.
I think though being in the military has
it.
its own threat level because you're right. There isn't a war going on at any time. You could join, and your plan might be to do your 4 years and skate. If at 3.5 years something break out and now it's
that's
war,
true. But I mean, you might be in Poland guarding some base. Then they ship you to Hawaii and you're guarding some base. Now you're in North Carolina guarding some. Like, you've seen some stuff. You've been around, but you really ain't been in the front line with bullets flying by your head.
Yeah.
And if you're doing a different job other than infantry, then you're okay. If you're an engineer, if you're a person who fixes planes, if you're a person who does
the chef,
administrative work, a chef, like you're okay.
A doctor.
Yeah, a doctor or something. So the military is different from, like, I'm gonna be
the
a cop.
daily risk.
Yes, like I have to get in this car every day and go out, and I have to lock people up. I can't be a cop for 10 years with no arrest.
But you know what? It's funny that you said it because I think to myself, what is the thought process between the difference in the thought process between a young man or woman growing up in the streets of Philadelphia and wanting to be a police officer versus the young man growing up, or young man or woman growing up in, I'm gonna just say King of Prussia. Like, I'm just thinking of someplace local where there's minimal violence and wanting to be a police officer.
Yeah, because it's presented to you different.
But that's what I'm saying. Is it the uniform? Is it the sense of authority? Like, what is it? Because obviously in the King of Prussia district, you're not facing that. You're stopping probably a lot of shoplifting and domestic violence.
I think it's a sense of authority because everybody wants a little power. So I think there's something to do with that when you want to be law enforcement. I don't know what about you, but you want to tell people what to do. And so that's a part of it. And then there could be insecurity with being, like, picked on as a kid. There's a lot of people, but I never knew anybody in my neighborhood that wanted to grow up and be a police officer or even a CO. Like, we just didn't think any type of law enforcement was a cool job.
I never knew a man that wanted to be a CO or a police officer. I knew
it's crazy because it's more men jails than anything. When I was locked up, I think I might have only saw 1 or 2 female COs. Like, a lot of them are men.
Yeah, I knew more women, and also I know indirectly more female police officers. No or know of. I don't know or know of. Well, we know of, like, kind of indirectly, a couple that are police officers. But yeah, never really knew any male police officers, which I think is weird because I'm sure the department is mostly male.
But when you think about the job, how can it not be looked at as it's like a job? Like, I'm not really, like, I might take some oath or say I'm going to and training and all this stuff when I get my badge, but I really don't want to put my life on the line to stop something from happening.
But you know what I think people may also look at, you think about 1 is too much. Let's just get that out the way. 1 is too much. But when you think about the percentage of police officers that are killed, they may think that the risk is low enough. It's there, but they may think the small percent of police officers that's killed in comparison to the large number of police officers that make it home safe every day, maybe they feel like the end justifies that small risk. And it's not a small risk, it's a huge risk at a low frequency. Right. I guess that's the way to say it. It's not like we're hearing about police officers killed every day or every week or even every month. But again, 1 is too much, especially if that's your job. That's like hearing about a plane falling out the sky. You're like, whoa, that probably happens once every 5 years, but that's going to stick in your mind. And I mean, 5 years is pushing it. That probably happens once every 10 years. We hear about a bad plane crash, but that's going to stick in your mind when it first happens. You, like, if you got to catch a plane the next day, you nervous as hell. Yeah, you nervous as hell. If it ain't important, you might cancel it. But again, it doesn't mean you're never going to fly again, because you thinking to yourself, I know the risk. Yeah, it happened, but the chances are very small in comparison to how many planes fly every day that don't fall out the sky.
So that you're making my point. Like, do you really think there's some people out there as law enforcement who wake up and say, like, this, give me my badge, give me my gun, I want to go put my life on the line to stop bad guys?
No, I don't think they're thinking.
Like, kiss their wives and their kids, and it's like, and I know you could never come home. I mean, there's a chance you might not come home every day. But do you really feel that way?
I think, and I would love to hear from an officer, but I think you would have to be aware but not dwell on that. I think that's probably, like they say, when you move scared, when you drive scared,
Right.
That's when you're going to get into an accident. So I think you have to have the presence of mind and knowing that it can go down, but not being so afraid that you make a mistake and where you may be able to avoid it, or you may be able to make a different decision. So of course it's there, and I don't think it's all the way in the back of their mind, but I don't think it's in the front of their mind either, because that you want to be able to focus on your job and not think, oh man, I hope I don't get killed today.
But I think that I agree with you, but that isn't that location based, because like you said, the cops in King of Prussia might be putting on their uniform and not thinking I'm going to get killed because I got 12 domestic violence calls this week, where I'm just going to somebody to stop some man from beating his wife or stop a family from fighting. Where if you're in an urban environment and everybody you can encounter or car you pull over got guns and everybody walking might have a gun, it's a different type of fear.
But I think for those people who want to be a police officer, and again, my Tasha logic, my assumption, you more so want that than you want the engagement. I don't think anybody wants to be a police officer because, some jobs you might take like, it's just going to make me some money. Some people might work for SEPTA because they know it's a good paying job. They don't have no desire to drive a bus, but it's something that I can do and make some money. I think people who become a police officer, you gotta have some desire. I don't think anybody's doing that for the money. So it's something else that's driving them to do that every day, where maybe they want to make a difference. And I'm sure there are some people that get burnt out where they feel like, man, I'm just waiting to retire, if they realize that they're not effectuating the change that they went into it with. But I think at least at the starting point, they have something in them. Because I think
it's the brainwashing the academy puts you through. So
but
even to
join the academy,
and that's where I disagree, because I think the people join the academy because they're looking like, okay, this is a job that I don't need. Well, it's a portion of college if you need the 36 credits. So that's like 3 years, 12, and 12. So if you need some credits and you have to go through not an obstacle course, but a training course for 12 weeks, then, okay, it's not really college, but I can probably get through that. And you probably see it as a job, as income, because I don't know how
but
a person
police
would
officers
say,
ain't getting rich. That's what I'm saying.
I know that.
So that's why I'm like, I don't think it's a job. Like, they're paid fairly well, But again, there's a lot of other. If it's just for the money, you would go to truck driving school to make the money. You would go to SEPTA school to make the money. You would go to SEPTA rail school to make the money. That's why I'm saying I think there has to be something innate in you that drives you to do that, because it ain't many people who's like, I'm gonna go and join the police academy because they pay well and it's just a job and I gotta find a job.
I can't. Well, I mean, I would hope that it is, but I can't just imagine that it's people. I can't imagine that it's people who have a desire to put their life on the line to stop. Like in an urban environment, you could be stopping somebody from stealing a fucking candy bar and get shot.
Yeah,
it's never worth it at the end of the day.
I would be interested to know the age range of the age range and demographic of like the graduating classes from the police academy over the last year. I wonder, is it older people who are like seeing things happening in the city and feel like they want to make a difference and make a change? Because that's a different mindset too. If you're 30, right? Yeah. You done experienced some things. You probably done had some jobs by that time. You done seen some stuff, did some stuff, and you 30 and want to join the academy versus 19. then it's a different mindset where you're
Something
making
happened.
that decision.
Yeah, so I would agree.
It's almost
Something
like the
happened.
people after 9/11 who want to join the military.
Yep.
Like
I
something
agree.
happened.
Something happened in your life that made you say, no, I need to make a change.
Yeah, I want to do this. I want to help my community.
Yeah.
Like, I think I can do it better than what they've been doing it. I know somebody, and I don't know what the age range is, because she's 45. And she was, I'm going to say maybe a couple years ago. So maybe she wasn't yet 45, but she was over 40. And she was training for the academy.
Okay.
And I just thought, like, wow.
I thought at a certain age you couldn't get in, though.
I don't know what that age is,
I think it's 18 to 35.
Did they increase it, maybe?
I don't see why they would. I mean, we see cops all the time that's like, shouldn't be cops.
That's weird. Maybe she was training for, I mean, I know she was training because she was trying to meet the
18 to 35.
time frame for running and all that. So, I don't know, but she didn't make it.
What did you think about the media coverage? Like, do you think he should have been on the news more, plastered on the news, and especially in a city where he killed the cop and he don't even live here? Like, what good would that do if he's caught already? Or is it just it wasn't as salacious because they didn't say, oh, he was bad like they do black kids, or he was rough, he did this at 12, he did this at 13, he's the worst, and like, what good would that do? Putting him all over the TV to do that.
See, again, I think that's where the misperception is when people say, oh, well, you didn't do him like you did Rakeem. It's not so much that we want you to do him. Almost, yes, we do want you to do him like you did Rakeem, but really stop doing the Rakeems of the world the way you're not going to do the Pfeffers of the world.
But the system isn't designed for that, and it's almost like when shit like this happen, we like shocked, like as the black community, we're shocked, like, oh my God, they're being racist, and it's like, think we're shocked. That's how it is.
It's expected, but it's almost like so blatant where you like, it's like having a crackhead cousin, right? Mm-hmm. And you know she a thief, and you know she always steal, and she done stole from you, from your aunt, she done stole from your other cousin, she done stole from this person, and it's to be expected. And it's like when you hear about, oh, now she done stole from grandmom, it's like, damn, like, again, like, it's going to happen, but it's so blatant. And I think for us, as much conversation that has been happening since even before, I mean, but I'll just use George Floyd as sort of like a pivotal moment, the murder of George Floyd. There's been so much conversation, but it goes to show you that it's surface. It's very superficial. Y'all not really changing the system because of things like that are still so blatant, where y'all not even trying to hide the fact that there's a disparity in the media coverage of crimes committed by that demographic. Long hair, white. I won't even say blue eyes because he had brown eyes. But just those who are fairer skinned. If he was Latino, God forbid if he was an undocumented Latino person, it would have been a conversation about the wall again.
It's people who own the corporations, who own the media, who drive the narrative. So why would you think all of a sudden something's going to change? It's wrong for them to do it with the black kid, but it's wrong for them to do it with the. It's wrong for the black kid for it to be done to him, and it would be wrong for it to be done to the white kid. It's almost like saying, I want to see an equal number of white kids shot every month, just like I want to see an equal number of black kids.
I said
like both of it's wrong.
That's what I said. It's not. It's almost like, yeah, we want you to treat them like that because you've been treating us like that, but really, we don't want you to treat us like that. Treat us like you treat them. Report on us like you report on them. So that small piece
but you're telling the racist institution
to not be racist.
Yeah, like they own the company. They drive the narrative. They're the ones reporting the news. So how can you get mad or shocked when it's like, oh, because they didn't put the white boy on the news for 50 times a day like they put the black boy on the news? Well, it's wrong for them to do that to the black kid, and it would be wrong for them to do that to the white kid. They just
but choose they still do it. That's the thing. And I don't think it's a matter of being mad. It's just that being fed up where it's like again and again and again and again and again. They play in our face.
I see. I can understand that.
And again, it's like, you know it's gonna happen, but it's like, damn, y'all still don't respect us. Like, y'all stop even trying to fake it when stuff like this happens. It goes to show, like, yeah, all the conversations that have been happening since the murder of George Floyd, nothing really has changed, because as soon as something happens of this magnitude, whether it's in Philadelphia or on a more national level, your true colors are really going to show based on color. That's that. So it's not that you're mad or you're surprised or you're shocked. It's just like, damn, again. Like, we know there's going to be another mass shooting. We know there's going to be another another murder in the hands of police.
You know he melted his gun?
Damn, no.
Yeah, like they was looking at a fire. He confessed to that, but they was looking at a fire pit outside his house where they locked him up at. But he melted the gun that he used.
And you know what I don't want to hear? So, and I'm sorry, so I have not been aware of any media coverage, so I can't really speak to how much or how little they've shown him. But what oh my God, I lost my train of thought. What I don't want to hear or see is anything about his mental stability, because having the mindset to do that shows you knew, like, this wasn't I was crazy, like he was crazy. None of that kind of stuff should be taken into consideration. However, what I am interested to know, and who knows if he has said it or what he will reveal, why? Like, not even why did you shoot the police officer? Obviously, you shot him because you wanted to get away, and he wouldn't let you get away. But were you on drugs? Your parents wouldn't give you any money. Like, why the robbery to begin with?
This is what I'm saying when I say we act like we don't know. Because when he gets his affluent lawyers around him, and they see that this kid read his thing, you're gonna say he did some fucked up shit here. And how are we gonna get him off? I know. His defense is his mental. We can say that he was crazy. We can say that he was picked on in school. We could say that his dad brought him up hard. We could say that his mom didn't hug him. That's the defense against something like this.
But that's going to be crazy, because in all that, you were mentally stable enough. Let me get rid of the evidence by melting a gun. I would think if you melted a gun, it would explode. I didn't even know you could melt it.
Out, babe. I don't melt a gun with the bullets.
Oh, okay. I mean, duh, but I would just...
You don't melt it with the bullets in it?
I just wouldn't think to melt a gun. Like, I don't think... I mean, again, I ain't thinking
Glocks
like a murderer.
Plastic.
I ain't thinking like a murderer, but I wouldn't even think to melt a gun. So it goes to show, I would hope that any prosecutor would throw that defense out. Like, nah, bruh. Like, it wasn't nothing wrong with him. He was thinking very clear. And not only that, he shot the police officer, ran his pockets. So that's what I'm wondering. I ain't making no excuses for him.
Tried to take his gun, but you know their guns have
like a lock thing?
A 3... Like, you got to do 3 actions to get it out. And only they know what they are.
And not only that, like, I would be interested to know the first robbery victim. Was he hot? Like, was this guy...
Oh, no. He was just down in the city trying to commit some robberies. He was on route.
That's crazy.
He could have been on drugs, but he, who knows? I mean, it seems like he didn't have to he didn't have to go to that level to get drugs. I mean, he's a fucking young white kid. He could probably get drugs anywhere. That's what I'm thinking.
And in Bucks County, he should have went over to Bristol or something somewhere. Like, yeah, that's...
Cocaine all over the place. All that shit there.
Crazy.
Miles Pfeffer, that was his name. I hope the worst for you, bro. I hope the worst for you.
Regardless of it being a police officer, you took a man away from his family, away from his parents, his wife, his children. A man who was doing his job.
Yep,
who was just doing his job. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he should have been shot at all, but you could have shot him in his leg and ran away. But that's...
The fact that you was in a shootout with him, shot him, and then stood over and shot him again, and then tried to take his whatever you was trying to find in his pockets, his money, his gun, whatever, like, that's you out of pocket for that. And you should have your skin taken. You should die. I always say that about the worst people, but your skin should be taken.
When you say that, like, that people should die. Just don't want you bringing that kind of juju back. Saying your skin being taken is one thing.
Okay. I understand and appreciate that. But yeah, your skin should be taken.
Some people might live with their skin off, but it's painful.
Yeah, it's gonna be raw. People gonna throw salt on you. Nipsey Killer today got 60 years.
Yeah, first of all, it's been what? How many years? 3?
Oh, I'm sorry. Condolences to
the
Christopher Fitzgerald's family, his mom, his dad, his kids, his wife. Like, just condolences to the family. If they happen to see this.
And not only that, I would sign a petition if someone started one that anybody who is a police officer, I'm not talking about security guards, different profession, but those university police officers, those SEPTA police officers, they really are police officers. I mean, they should be granted the same stature posthumous stature that Philadelphia police officers are granted. I that's a shame that they're not, but they police that area around that school and all the schools you think about, Drexel, University of Penn, but especially Temple, University of Penn and Drexel have kind of really gentrified those areas.
Line, though, between them getting a department or you don't work for a department, you work for a private entity. Yeah. And you don't have a FOP. I don't think you get the flag and all that stuff over the. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but it's really sad. Yeah,
it is. It's a sad thing.
Well, we'll find out for sure, just so we're not speaking any untruths, because we know y'all will let us know.
Yeah, and we ain't got no problem coming back saying we're wrong and correcting something. I don't have no issue with that. So yeah. It's called learning. Mm-hmm. But Nipsey Killer gets 60 years.
How many? It's been what, 3 years?
3 years. He died in the pandemic. A little longer than that. I think he died before
2019, maybe. I don't know, but I know it hasn't been 5 years yet. I don't think it's been. Time flies, so who knows? You know what's crazy that why did it take so long? Was he fighting this case? I mean, it was on camera. Was he fighting the case?
Yeah. I see, that's the misconception you have of just because it was on video, it mean the person can't fight the case. It mean they're guilty. No, you have a defense team and they come up with a defense to say you may have did something, but you wasn't responsible for everything. So yeah, there's something to fight, even though you're caught on tape.
Well, I mean, the 60 years, some people can say, oh, he should have got life or whatever, but technically that is life. I mean, that man, what is he, 30?
Probably 30.
I mean, 35. I know he's older than 20. Yeah. So let's say 60, that takes you to 80. If you're 30, it takes you to 90.
He definitely was 30 years old.
He'll die in there. So, I mean, whether you want to give him letters or numbers, it speaks the same. I don't know for families, and I'm not disregarding how it feels for families of victims. So please don't mistake my words for that. But the ending result is that person will never get out of jail, which is the goal. So I mean, rightfully so. And who knows? And I ain't wishing this on anybody, but do you think he'll have to stay in protective custody, or do you think they're gonna get him in jail?
I don't know. He looked a little rough around the edges, but that he could have been in protective custody. He could have no family, no way to take care of himself. So I don't know. I would think protective
just
custody.
Because you think California, Nipsey was so highly regarded. I would think his connections, with those families that wear the respective colors. Mm-hmm. I don't want to call them that word, but I would just think that his life may be in danger being there, so he may not make it to 60. Who knows? Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be the one who yeah, damn, I killed Nipsey. When you sit down and think of it in your cell, the gravity of it, regardless of whatever, if it was over some street shit and you knew him as in a different way, but the world knew him and you're that dude. It's almost that killed Nipsey. Yeah, it's being the guy that shot Martin Luther King or killed Malcolm X or something.
If you're a black man.
Yeah. And it's damn, I did that. Everybody hate me. Nobody fuck with me.
Yeah, that gotta be That you just ruin again.
I think I asked you this before. If somebody killed one of your loved ones, you don't necessarily want them dead. Like if somebody brutally murdered a loved one of yours and like, you know, did some foul stuff and brutally murdered them and got caught, like you don't necessarily want them dead.
I'm not going to say I don't want them dead. I don't think that that we as people should be able to make the decision when somebody dies.
Okay.
Now, if he went to jail and somebody unalived him, I can't say I would be upset about it.
Right.
But I don't think, but
doesn't it also say in the Bible, eye for an eye? So, like, it's like picking and choosing. Like, I heard what you just said, and I received it. I respect what you just saying. That's God's thing to pick that. But if he did something that took one of your loved ones, and it says in the Bible, an eye for an eye, why wouldn't you have that same wrath, like that same...
Like I want to take one of his loved ones?
Yeah, like that same wrath. Like, it's part of who you are. It's part of the sins that we have and the stuff that we can feel. The vanity, the wrath, and all that kind of shit. So, the envy. So, it's like, it's a part of who you are. It's just like, you're
but it doesn't mean that we have to let that part of us be prevalent.
Even at that...
But I can't say how I can't sit here and say, God forbid if something like that happened, I wouldn't feel that way. I hope that I wouldn't, and I wouldn't allow that to consume me. But we also have to realize too that everything isn't literal. So let's just say in a scenario that, and I'm not going to put us in it, but
no, please don't.
No, I mean us and our families or anything like that. But let's say a person lost their sibling to this person. Okay. This person may also lose their sibling if we're looking at it as an eye to eye. Maybe their sibling never speaks to them again. Doesn't mean that their sibling is dead or was murdered in the same way of ours, or God, unfortunately their sibling may die from a terrible disease due to no fault of their own, but it's not up to us. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. That doesn't mean that we are responsible for exacting that vengeance on somebody. So yeah, an eye for an eye, but God will handle that. That ain't up to us to do. So, and when I say up to us, meaning us physically with our hands, it ain't up to the government to determine that somebody should no longer be alive. Like that ain't up to you to determine that this person, no, you're not allowed to live anymore.
What about those scriptures in the Bible where it talks about if a man spilleth his blood, then another man shall spill his blood?
I mean, maybe that should happen. Doesn't mean that God is telling you to do it. Maybe that's that person. Maybe that will become that person's fate. But in the end, we have to remember. Yes, there's Bible verses and there's certain things, but we have to connect all of those. So God said all of that, but He also said vengeance is mine. So we can't again decide that it's up to us to do those things.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go back down the death penalty conversation, but my baby is against the death penalty. I am for the death penalty, and we still coexist together. We still love each other.
Absolutely. And I pray that there's never a situation that makes me, have to put that on trial no pun intended, but to determine like how I feel, because people can change their minds. People do change their minds when they're presented with a situation, but I pray that God forbid if anything was to happen, keeps me focused on Him, so that I remember that His word supersedes any of those feelings that you said that are in us, the wrath, the envy, and all of that kind of stuff. I hope that He would help me to remember that He reigns supreme.
That's a bar. You got anything you learned?
I was going to say something that I learned today, and this might seem very trivial to someone else, but I didn't confirm it, so I'm not sure if I want to say it, so I'll ask you.
Go ahead.
I heard someone say today that the word art is derived from the word artifact. Is that true?
Yes.
I mean, it seems so evident, like, duh.
Art is derived from the word artifact, as if fan is derived from fanatic.
Wow. It's a fan and fanatic I knew. Being a fan and fanatic. Yeah, fan and fanatic, I knew there was a correlation. Art and artifact. It's weird because while I knew that an artifact can be art, I didn't recognize that art was like it's not an abbreviation, but it was like a nickname for an artifact. And it was almost like, duh, that makes sense. And I'm like, is he right? And so my husband loves watching, of course, A2TP podcast is his favorite podcast, but he loves watching other podcasts. And I heard someone say that, and I'm like, I've never heard that before. So I was 42 to, am I 42 or 43?
You 42.
I was 42 to, and I was about to say 43, but I couldn't remember, like, did I lose a year? I was 42 today years old when I learned that.
Are you okay?
I am okay.
You sure?
I'm positive. You never forget how old you are?
No. No. No, it's not commonplace. People know exactly how old they are.
All right.
We got 3 grams and a question.
Wait, what did you learn?
I didn't learn anything. I ain't been nowhere to learn nothing. I ain't been out to get no different environment. Yeah, I ain't been nowhere to learn shit.
You look like Mason. That's our youngest nephew. That's one of our youngest nephews. You ask him sometimes about school. What you learned today? Nothing. What you eat for lunch? Nuggets. What you do? Play. But you was like, I ain't learned anything.
No, I didn't. I didn't learn anything this week. Last 7 days, I didn't, I kind of just
I'll
stayed.
school you this week.
Even. I didn't get no dumber, didn't get no smarter. Adidas, $1 billion in sales. JP Morgan. I'm sorry. Adidas lost $1 billion in sales. JP Morgan had a lawsuit with a person who said that they sent executives from the JP Morgan child porn pics from Jeffrey Epstein. The Balenciaga thing with the kids in the porno, they settled that lawsuit. Ivy Park, they just was projected to make $250 million. They only make $40 million. Do you think they will sign Kanye again? Why or why not?
I think they will. Well, no. Okay, let me say this. I think they will try. So I think they will want to. I don't know if he will agree. And it makes
Why wouldn't he? If you could take a little more. Like if we partners now, tear up that old shit y'all had that I was complaining about. And if y'all do the shit that I say, yeah, I'll sign.
It's chess, not checkers. And I think it makes me think to myself, was Kanye that advanced thinking? I don't put it past him.
Mm-mm.
I don't put it past him. And that's probably why his people told him, fall back. They'll come back to you. Because you think about this, right? All of the rhetoric about the negative things that he said, and I'm not giving him no passes. This is not a for Kanye or against Kanye. I'm just talking about what has been presented to us. We have seen things like this in the past, whether it's the Black community, the Jewish community, or others. And it goes away. Unfortunately, that's just how people are. We allow people to say things, and life goes on. You forget. 2 generations later, they never even knew any. I'm not gonna say they forget, but
some people stay canceled. Let me just say that. I get what you're saying,
but if you live long enough, you can come back, and it's swept under the rug. And I say that because if you're young enough to make those mistakes and you come back later and pick up a new generation that isn't aware of your past grievances, then you may be able to. Now, if you're 60, like
Kramer never came back.
But think about his age.
He was like 45 when he did that.
But he ain't old enough to pick up on the new generation of the 20-year-olds.
That's true. Well, Michael Richards never came back.
Yeah, Kanye may be young enough And it may not even take that. It may not even take a whole generation. You got a young generation of kids that love them damn sneakers that don't give a hell about nothing Kanye said.
Yeah.
Like, they don't
They
care.
don't give a shit about him saying Hitler was cool and all that.
They don't care. They looking for the next Yeezys.
They don't care about a lot of shit that we cared about. Hence the Tekashi and the snitching. Like, they don't care about none of that shit.
So he may be young enough to rebound in that way. So will they attempt to? Absolutely, because no matter whose feelings are hurt, no matter what he said about people of any color, the color that really matters to them, green. And when they start losing money, their pockets are hurt. They're going to put their tail between their legs. Because, to be honest, they didn't really care to begin with. They just had to, they had to react to the outcry.
Yeah, appease the masses.
If people had made a big deal of it, then they, and don't get me wrong, they ain't make no changes in their agreement because of anything he said about George Floyd or anything that he said against black people.
I think if he wouldn't have went on Drink Champs and said Balenciaga and Adidas can't drop me, I can say what I want to say. I think if he didn't do that, he wouldn't have got dropped. But the fact that he did do that made them react to that statement alone.
I think the things that he said about Hitler, I think the things that he said about Jewish people are what made them react to those communities.
I think it's the things he said about them. Those guys are German people, and when you go back so far, they say the guys at Adidas are Nazis. Like that's been a narrative out there. But I think they were more mad at what he said about them being on that platform and saying they can't drop me no matter what I say. I can say what I want. He said that verbatim. So when a company might hear that, it's like, oh, like you're talking directly to us, because they don't give a shit about black people. They don't give a shit about Hitler and all that kind of stuff.
But what about J.P. Morgan Chase? I think across the board it's about money.
I think that is a outcry because it's like we're J.P. Morgan, we're the bank of bankers, but again, y'all getting fucking child porn sent to y'all from Epstein and all that. Yeah, like y'all executives do that shit. So y'all want some other nonsense.
Whether or not he will agree to them attempting to sign him, I think, like you said, if it's under his control, what he says. I saw something by somebody that is like in the fashion world, and I like her opinion. Like she's somebody who's like very down low. Like you would have to know her page to know her. She's not like out front and center. So I respect her opinion in that case. Kanye really is looked at as a reputable person in the fashion industry. Mm-hmm. He has disappointed people because of the direction he's gone in. Like her comments were mainly about his collaboration with Gap, and they had really high hopes that he would do some big things there. And I think at that time he was on the brink of whatever came out to happen, whether it was a mental breakdown, a mental explosion, his divorce, whatever it was, a culmination of all those things. So maybe it didn't come to fruition, the things that people in the fashion industry thought it would. But he really is a reputable figure, like even behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. They respect and value his opinion. Mm-hmm. And they know that he brings the money. People love a mess. Yeah. So all the mess that comes with him, they know it's going to bring the dollars with them. So I definitely think they're going to try to sign him back.
To the masses, not to me, but to the masses, obviously he made some comfortable sneakers.
I like some of them.
A lot of people, that's even if they don't look so nice, everybody always say they're comfortable.
Yeah, I like some of them.
Some of them are ugly as shit, but everybody say they're comfortable.
I think some of them are nice looking. I just have a budget for myself, and he exceeds that.
Second gram is YSL Rico.
Who's Rico? It's like, no, I said that as a joke because I've seen that somewhere somebody thought Rico was a person.
Case. YSL Woody was an 11-year informant snitching in the YSL game. How do you come back from having a friend that was snitching for 11 years? The shit he's heard. You would go through your Rolodex in your brain and be thinking, damn, that nigga was in the room when we said that. Damn, he knew about that. Damn, he was in the car for that. damn, I told him this, like 11 years?
The fact is, it's too late. Like, it's been done. But what really makes me sad, I feel like this is one of those situations where the government, they set up young black men. It's almost like, you remember in Franklin when he told the CIA he was out, and then they like took all his money out. Like, they had allowed him to become rich and, you know, take care of his family and live this life. And as soon as he didn't want to play,
what they say what to do,
then
you can have his that money. Yeah, well, so it's really not yours,
right? But I mean, you kind of earned it through doing illegal stuff that they allowed you to do. That's all I'm saying.
You're probably working for somebody who that's not his name.
Right, but it makes me feel like, did this guy decide he didn't want to participate anymore, or he didn't want to say anymore? And then, because how did the police tapes from the police interrogation room, the stuff we see on First 48, like, I have never in my life, except if it's a TV show, seen police videotapes of the interrogation room released.
We watch First 48 every day.
I said, except if it's
That's the same thing.
But this wasn't a TV show. This was real life of a confidential.
First 48 is real life.
What I'm saying is, this situation with YSL Woody wasn't on TV. These videos were released to the public. And I feel like it is the police just throwing him out there to the wolves. They was done with him, just throwing him out there to the wolves.
I think it's a bad thing, and I think that he probably is in danger. But to me, it's the same thing as watching First 48. Yeah, it's a TV show, but that's a real person ratting in an interrogation room. Those are real years they get at the end. That's a real body laying on the ground.
Yeah, but it's a difference when you have an 11-year informant rather than this person has been arrested for this current crime that's happening. That's all I'm saying. Like, this guy, like, what are y'all about to do with him now? Because y'all know that he's not going to be safe in any community. And, you know, it also makes me think, you know, these people in the street who are living the same life, because YSL Woody ain't the only one. So whatever crews are out there, I'm sure they all looking at their homies.
I think Academics was the one who posted it, but it was a chart of state to state what confidential informants make. The top one was $86,000, and that was like in California or something. But in like Nebraska, it was like $72,000 a year.
And the $72,000 in Nebraska.
I think the lowest one on there was like $52,000 in Maine or some shit like that. But it wasn't nothing lower than like $50,000.
It's crazy. We grew up with somebody that we thought was a confidential informant because they lived an illegal life and they never ever got into any trouble.
I grew up and sold drugs with people that I thought was confidential informants too.
I was talking about you and I. I said we. Me.
But we could be talking about different people.
We could.
I knew of 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, but it just makes me think, like, there's others. Like, he ain't the only one. Like you said, there's a whole salary grid state to state. And I'm sure guys are probably looking at their circle, looking at their homies, wondering who's the one. Or if they are the one, they're hoping that nobody is looking at them, wondering if they're the one.
They're the one, right?
Yeah. Those trips to Vegas and nobody ain't hear from you all weekend. Where were you?
YSL Woody, I feel bad for you, because you checked your post up.
He had the thing like, am I alive?
What the fuck?
Did they give him something to drink? He probably thought they was poison.
A lot of people said that in the comments. They was like, damn, he didn't even have a 2-piece in front of him. Like, no soda, no chicken, no nothing.
Sunkist and Doritos.
You just was
nothing.
Like, here go everybody, and like they ain't get you no food or nothing yet. The Boosie and T.I. situation.
Yeah.
Did he snitch? Yes or no question, babe. This ain't got no circumstance. This ain't nothing. He gave information up on another person to get himself out of a situation. In my book, doesn't matter. In my book, that's what the definition of snitching is.
Okay, but
if you take information, give it to law enforcement to lessen your crime, that is snitching.
Is it not you taking information to give to law enforcement to lessen your crime, which will result in somebody else getting in trouble?
Yeah.
So that other person ain't getting in trouble.
He is getting in trouble.
He's dead.
So he didn't snitch.
I mean, he snitched.
Like, what are you saying?
I thought the negative perspective of snitching is getting somebody else in trouble for something you did.
The negative part of snitching is twofold. The first part is you cooperating with law enforcement.
Okay.
That's the first strike. The second strike is you got somebody else locked up.
Well, he didn't get the second strike.
No, I'm sorry. First strike is you cooperating with law enforcement. The second strike is you lessening your situation. The third strike is you're making a third person situation even harder. You're putting the crime on them.
Well, he didn't strike out. The third part don't apply. The person is no longer alive.
So he didn't snitch, no?
I don't think he met all the requirements to be considered a snitch.
Okay.
And let's think about this. If the scenario goes like this, right?
So Boosie wrong?
So just listen. No, Boosie is not wrong for standing on his morals and his beliefs, but I think that he's being closed-minded and looking at the full situation. Let's paint a picture, right? I'm driving down the street, right? And I got my homegirl, Keisha with me. Triple OG Keisha with me, right? We driving. She over there, she got guns, she loading up. I'm like, girl, what you doing? Yeah, when you drop me off, I'm about to go in here, I'm about to light this store up and take this money from the gas station. I'm like, girl, it's the gas station. They don't be having no money like that. Everybody use their car, but whatever. We driving. Boom, we get into a car accident. Oh my God, they done killed Keisha. It's all these guns in the car. The cops like, get out the car. Everybody put your hands up. And I'm the only one that get out because I'm like, Keisha and they're dead. Mm-hmm. But because the car hit her, the guns fell all over. So they don't know that they was on Keisha lap. They just see guns in the car. It's registered to me. So I'm like, that ain't my guns. That was Keisha guns. Did I snitch? Yes. She did.
Yes.
So yes. I'm supposed to take a charge?
You snitched.
I told the truth but it's her guns. She not in trouble.
You still snitch. You cooperated with law enforcement.
Call me a cooperator.
All right. That's what you'll be. Cooperator. Cooperator.
Now, if Keisha's still alive, I don't have nothing to say, but I'm be looking at Keisha like 48 hours.
Oh, you got 2 days to spend in jail?
48 hours. Get your affairs in order, and you tell these police that this was yours.
So he didn't snitch. And you didn't snitch.
I didn't snitch. I told the police they weren't mine. There was another person in the car who's deceased. I'm telling you they're not. So if the cops like, or they weren't yours, no. Well, whose were they? I don't know. It was somebody else in the car. Maybe they were hers. But she's dead. We can't ask her. Well,
right. So that's what you could say. They wasn't mine. They wasn't mine. So whose were they? I don't know, but they wasn't mine. Whose were they? I don't know, but they wasn't mine. You're actually saying what you want to say without cooperating. It wasn't mine. You standing on what you're supposed to stand on. It wasn't mine. It wasn't mine. It wasn't mine. And you're telling the truth. So what you trying to say? It was hers? I ain't saying shit. I'm just telling you it wasn't mine. That's different from saying it's hers.
She did.
It's hers. It's his.
She did.
Snitch. It's bad. That was the last gram. Last question though. And I asked this in my story, and it's funny because your sister answered. Women out there, especially older women in their 40s and 30s, because y'all been dealing with this for a long time. But would y'all rather have y'all periods for the rest of y'all life, or for however long y'all gonna have them, or would you rather have balls?
I would take 2 balls, please.
Really?
I would take some testicles.
Really?
Yeah. I would take some testicles.
Okay.
A period is
honest.
such an inconvenience.
I don't know. And it's like, you don't know what balls is. So I just,
I could tuck them up. Keep them. They ain't bleeding. They don't stop me from going swimming. They don't stop me from having sex. They don't give me cramps. They don't change my mood. They don't make me fat and bloated. They don't make me cry. Like... Okay. I don't have to buy anything for them monthly.
Okay.
Yeah, give me some balls. I'll tape them if they get.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah. I'll take them.
Your sister said, "I'll take balls for 300."
Yeah. Okay. See. Yes, please.
That's a wrap. Actually, the podcast episode 111 coming to a close. Your boy International Walk.
It's your girl Tosh, the co-host is with the most.
Why are you pointing at me?
Wait.
I'm not the girl Tosh, the co-host is with the most.
Okay.
What the fuck is wrong with you? It's your boy International Walk.
Point to me. It's your girl Tosh, the co-host is with the most.
Oh my God.
We're going to get this close out right. We're going to get it right.
A2TPodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Anchor, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Breaker, TikTok, and Anchor. YouTube. Instagram.
Yeah.
All those platforms. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace. Man, you are...